this generation, 2010, this is when the first iPad and Instagram were launched. And interestingly, app was the word of the year. So remember when we first heard the word app, it seems like not too long ago, but it's very casually used in our daily conversations. Gen Alpha were born to millennial parents. Millennials are the generation who are frequently moving, changing careers, materially and technologically endowed, and they outsource aspects of parenting such as childcare or tutors. Millennials blurred the boundaries of personal and professional life because of telework, flexi time, work from home, remote work, shift work, and dual career arrangements. Dual career meaning both heads of the household pursue their own jobs and careers while at the same time maintaining the family. Millennials prefer a small family with a growing preference towards one baby. Older millennials experienced the financial crisis of 2008, which is why the birth of Gen Alpha in 2010 came as a ray of hope. Gen Alpha ensured the continuity and stability in their parents' lives. So what are the characteristics of Gen Alpha? During early childhood, tablets were given to them as pacifiers, such that by 2 years old, they mastered touchscreen and navigating through apps. How old were we when we learned how to use the iPad or scroll through the iPhone? My goddaughter, who is 2 years and 2 months old, already knows how to skip ads on YouTube. She knows how to wait for the skip ad button in the corner, and she knows how to scroll and choose the next video, entertaining herself on her gadget. So because of this, Gen Alpha is also known as Generation Glass or Screenagers. They are the true digital natives and the wired generation. Gen Alpha kids were exposed to technology before they could even talk. They are used to app-based play and have more digital literacy than the previous generations. They are exposed to increased screen time, have shorter attention spans, and have less social formation. During the tween years, or when they are in between being a child and a teenager, social media becomes integral to the development of their identity. And identity formation is the primary development process during this stage. Some tweens become brand influencers on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook, and as such, tweens are the target market for the brands. Tweens are more active on sites, can upload their own YouTube videos, and connect with friends online. They can easily connect with Alexa or Siri even more than their parents do. And they play mobile games like Roblox, PUBG, Pokemon within the comforts of their own home. Adolescents or teenagers spend an average of 7 to 8 hours on their mobile phones each day, with about 2 hours of which are spent on gaming. Sleep is then traded off for technology use at night for texting, chatting, playing games, or watching movies. So these sleep-eroding devices can lengthen the exposure to blue light, lessen melatonin production, and cause a disrupted sleep-wake cycle. So the oldest batch of Gen Alpha is about 15 years old. They're right in the middle of their adolescence. Gen Alpha versus the other generations. They will live longer because of advances in health and nutrition. They are more culturally diverse, being the most globally connected generation. They can be described as social, global, and mobile, wherein they work, study, and travel between countries, and have multiple careers across their lifetime. It's so easy now to study abroad, and you can even get online education from foreign universities. So I have a patient who is homeschooled, but the program is based in London. And another one who is a med student who is doing online classes from a med school in the US. So they adjust to the time that is provided by the school. Adult life, which was once marked by marriage, children, mortgage, and a career, is now pushed back for Gen Alpha as they stay longer in education and stay home with their parents for longer. As a result, the parents' role is to care for their kids until they are in their 20s. Here is a chart comparing engagement across generations. So between Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and Gen Beta. Gen Beta will be born in 2026. So for education on Gen Alpha, their form of education is more adaptable, while Gen Beta's focus is more entrepreneurial. For the school, what used to be a focus on the exam results now turned into a focus of learning skills. And for Gen Beta, it's going to be a focus on life skills. So we'll get into that later. For marketing, Gen Z from their peers, for Gen Alpha from the influencers, and for Gen Beta, it's going to be from artificial intelligence. For the work style, Gen Z was used to participative, how Gen Alpha is going to be collaborative, while Gen Beta, they are going to be co-creators. The ideal leader among Gen Z is a coordinator, for Gen Alpha is an empowerer, and for Gen Beta is an enlarger. I am not so sure what enlarger means, but maybe we will get to know that in the future when this generation arrives. So for payments, Gen Z frequently use the credit card, but starting with Gen Alpha, they will be used to digital payments already, cashless transactions, with some of them never even being able to use a wallet anymore. And for Gen Beta, it's going to be virtual. So there are some countries wherein they use biometrics to scan for payment, like the eyes or the fingerprint. And then I guess it's linked to some account of some sort, and that's what they use to pay, so they don't need to carry around anything. For technology, it's touchscreen for the Gen Z. It's going to be voice recognition for Gen Alpha. So this is through the devices like Alexa or Siri or Gemini or all of those AI-powered devices. And for Gen Beta, it's going to be gesture control. So they won't even have to touch anything. For consumer trends, Gen Z prefer those that are customized. Gen Alpha prefers those that are personalized. And Gen Beta would prefer something that's predictive. For the advice, Gen Z usually receives it from persons with professional credentials. For Gen Alpha, it's from social validation or their peers. And social validation, not necessarily from peers, but for Gen Beta, it's going to be a strong peer influence. And then for the business context, the trends will be changing for Gen Z. Gen Alpha is a frequent disruption and a continuous volatility for Gen Beta. Gen Alpha are growing up faster and at a younger age. Hence, they have also been called up-agers. They have earlier physical maturity and they experience earlier adolescence, but it extends later. Gen Alpha is heavily influenced by technology. Aside from smartphones, tablets, and video games, they experience driverless trains. So this is the train. Driverless cars, autonomous cars. So this car is called a Waymo. You might have seen on YouTube or on the internet, the steering wheel just goes on its own and it's remotely operated. Delivery robots, so here in the lower left corner, they are used to deliver food and small objects, and smart speakers such as Alexa or Google Home. To demonstrate how rapidly technology spreads to its users, so this is how long it took the previous devices to reach 50 million users. For the radio, it took 38 years. For the television, it took 13 years. For the iPad, 4 years. For the internet, 3 years. For Facebook, just 1 year. Pokemon Go is a virtual game where you capture Pokemon. So can you guess how fast it took this game to reach 50 million users? I'm hearing 1 week, 2 days, 1 month, 1 hour. It's 19 days, or roughly half a month. No? So from radio that took 38 years, ma-adult na lang sila. Ang Pokemon, 19 days, mawala pa naka 1 month ang bata. So Gen Alpha lives in the great screen age, where screens are used as pacifiers, entertainers, and educational aids. Screens are important for the gamification of education because these kids need to be engaged anymore. They might not respond well to the traditional lectures, the presentations like this. No? The lectures need to be more engaging. So Gen Alpha are very digital literate. However, this comes at the cost of shorter attention spans and impaired social information. It will be impossible to pry them away from their devices. So this is the hard truth that we must live with. Technology will forever be a part of their lives, and it might not be as effective to totally ban them from gadgets forever. So digital literacy comes with digital risks. There are risks involving content. Children may view unwelcome and inappropriate content like pornography, violence, hate speech, or racism. There are risks involving contact. They may be contacted by someone seeking inappropriate behavior, and risk involving conduct when the child himself or herself does something risky. 53% of sexual contact and conduct victims are less than 10 years old. 1 out of 6 parents admit that their child experienced cyberbullying, and 1 in 6 also know a cyberbullied child. Technology has overpowered humans, such that solutions are more available courtesy of technology rather than being sought from caregivers or elders. So how easy is it for them to just Google how to do this, or what is this, what is that? And the internet provides the answer in mere milliseconds. This over-involvement with the digital world may impair social and emotional skills and can affect relationships. For their education, Gen Alpha will be the most educated generation, with 1 in 2 obtaining a university degree and 90% completing high school. They will prefer more engaging, visual, multimodal, and hands-on learning, rather than the structured auditory learning that we have traditionally. Technology will increase learning and interactivity of the students, and they will prefer to use it for educational support. It's important to teach Gen Alpha about knowledge development and not just accessing information. It's one thing to repeat an answer searched online, and another thing to retain that knowledge to be used for another time. So this is a skill that they will need to learn offline. We should also teach them to interpret and analyze information. The internet really provides the information overload. We need to teach them how to process it and how to deal with this overload. We should also teach them soft skills like critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork, and communication. These are the things that we cannot learn on the internet. Gen Alpha will later on enter the workforce. They will spend less time staying in a work role, around 3 years only. So what used to be a tenure of 10, 15, 20, 30, 35 years are now reduced to a mere 3 years. So they will experience over 18 different jobs, over 6 different careers in their lifetime. They will be employed in future jobs that do not exist yet today. 65% of those in primary school are going to work in entirely new jobs. Technology replaces jobs, but creates new ones in the fields of robotics, coding, social media marketing, app development, and data analytics. So these are pictures of robot dogs that exist today. On the left is from a company called Unitree, and they named their robot dog the Go-To. It's available for commercial use and for purchase for $1,600. The one on the right is called Spot. He is an invention from Boston Dynamics. So Spot is mainly used in factories or construction sites, research labs, providing insight into the routine operations, safety hazards, and site health. So it's mainly used for the protection of the humans working in these places. Spot is available to purchase for $74,500. There will be jobs, again, in new industries such as nanotechnology, blockchain, cybersecurity, autonomous transport, and virtual reality. Nanotechnology is already used today in cosmetics, sunscreen, in water-repellent fabric like the jackets in Uniqlo. Blockchain is used in cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. So these are examples: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, Binance, and Ripple. These are just a few examples among the many. And virtual reality for games, entertainment, and even healthcare. So sometimes virtual reality is used to train medical students or doctors. At our recent convention, a psychiatrist from France was studying the use of virtual reality in exposure therapy for treatment of trauma patients. So there could be so many developments that we can't even imagine are going to happen today. And these would be experienced by Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha will be more tech-savvy, more entrepreneurial, and willing to create their own jobs. They will be less likely to conform to prejudices, biases, and norms established by society. They will be lifelong learners holding multiple jobs across multiple careers. They are adaptive and upskilling and retraining to remain relevant. Retirement for them would not mean stopping work. Instead, it's merely downsizing and downshifting. They will stay active later in life. Working well into their 70s is going to be the norm. At work, their top agenda will be well-being. This is extremely important to them, and they will be less tolerant of workplaces that hinder the well-being. So there will even be well-being managers that are going to be employed by companies. And Gen Alpha will use more devices and apps that focus on their well-being. So people will not turn off the technology, but instead turn it on for solutions to make life more efficient and enhance well-being. Consumers are willing to pay a premium for simplicity and customized services. These are some some of the popular well-being apps. We have Insight Timer, which is a meditation app. We have Finch, this penguin. It helps users care for their mental health by taking care of a virtual pet. Earth Hero suggests or recommends actions that you can take to care for the planet in response to climate change. Mint is a budget app. Waterminder is an app to remind you to stay hydrated and achieve your water goals each day. And TimeTune is a productivity app, like a time tracker. So this is going to be the norm for them. These apps are going to be integrated in their lifestyle. The future is bright for Gen Alpha, but they are also experiencing a rising mental health crisis. There are rapid advancements in technology, and mankind is said to have reached the robotic movement, where we are friendlier and more caring to our devices than fellow beings. I think that is something to think about. Kung mahulog ang atong phone, unsa man ang atong reaction versus kung makabangga ta og tao. So, unsa may mas urgent para sa atua, di ba siguro? The answer will depend na kung unsa ang inyong answer. So, what can we do? What can we do with them? The characteristics that you've described, it's likely that they are already established. And I don't think that it's going to change drastically. So we are at the tail end already of Gen Alpha, with the oldest being 15 years old. So what can we do with these established characteristics? The role of millennial parents is going to promote subjective, psychological, and digital well-being for their children. Help children embrace their unique qualities and focus on their inner happiness rather than external validation. Set realistic expectations and focus on gradual progress and individual strengths rather than imposing unattainable standards. So these messages are not communicated online and on the internet. No, in fact, it is the opposite. So these values need to be taught to them offline from another human being. Prioritize quality time and family traditions to create a strong support system, so that no matter what kind of adversity, cyberbullying, or whatever, or hate speech that the child may experience online, he or she will know that outside of the online space, there is a family who supports him or her. Apply adequate screen hours per age and ensure that screen time does not consume time for academic and health activities. So there is always a question of how much screen time should a child consume. And there are different recommendations across different societies, but these are the guidelines from the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatrists. For less than 18 months, limit the use to video chatting with a parent, preferably, or with a family member, supervised by an adult. From 18 to 24 months, limit watching to only educational programs, but with a caregiver. From 2 to 5 years, non-educational screen time may be allowed up to 1 hour per work day and 3 hours on the weekend. And for 6 years and up, encourage healthy habits and limit activities that include screens. So here are other guidelines recommended by the society. Turn off all screens during family meals and outings. Learn about use and parental controls. So we also need to adapt to the times. It's been a common reason that we don't know how to use this, or we don't know how to use that, or technology is so confusing. But as the elders or as the parents or people who are going to guide this generation, we also need to stay on top of things. We have to know what is there, how to set the boundaries, no? How to reduce the risk for the exposure to harm on these gadgets. As much as possible, avoid using screens as pacifiers, babysitters, or to tame tantrums. And turn off screens and remove from the bedrooms 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime. As parents, familiarize yourself with programming these apps and make sure it is age appropriate. Talk to your child about what they are seeing. So look at what they are also seeing, especially when they are still very young. Browse through the screen with them. Point out their good behavior like cooperation, friendship, and concern for others. So we also need to teach them what are the good things that are online. So that's how they will also conduct themselves. Now, teach them what's good and what's bad online. So make connections to meaningful events or places of interest. Be aware of advertising and how it influences choices. No, advertisements are catered to the user, so we should be aware also of what we click or what websites we go to because this heavily influences the ads that we see. So we can also encourage our child to learn other activities like sports, music, art, and hobbies that do not involve screens. They also need life skills or other skills outside the gadgets. And set a good example with your own safe and healthy screen habits. Teach children about online privacy and safety. Teach them how to protect themselves online. Teach them what is safe and what data to keep private. Actively decide when your child is ready for a personal device. Encourage using screens in ways that build creativity and connection with family and friends. And consider your child or teen's maturity and habits. Remember that the right plan for one family may not be a good fit for another. So let your children share their ideas and concerns and listen to them in an open and a curious manner. Positive and healthy screen use is possible with proper guidance and consistency. Proper parenting and guidance is of utmost importance to instill the right virtues and values. This is something that only the parents can teach their children and not the AI or not the internet. Inculcate in them the essence of being human, managing emotions, forming stable relationships, and a healthy assimilation with technology in daily life. Balance out technology use with outdoor activities like sports or fun runs, going hiking or forest bathing, swimming, going to the beach. The future of Gen Alpha presents an exciting combination of opportunities, adventure, and exploration. Gen Alpha will grow up to be creative and unconventional. They will live longer, work later, be more formally educated and materially endowed, and they will be the wealthiest generation to date. But they will still crave timeless human needs like acceptance, belonging, and community. As parents, take time to understand and engage with them. Connect and communicate in their language. What worked for the previous generations might not work anymore now. We have to meet them where they're at. Entrust them with opportunities to grow. Allow them to experiment and to fail. This is the key for building resilience for their generation. Teach them how to fail and teach them how to get up after a failure. because failure is not the end of it. It's merely a stepping stone for them to experience their success. Not everything will work out successfully the first time, and that's okay. We can teach them and teach ourselves that this is how we all grow. So thank you for your kind attention this morning, and this ends my talk.